Whenever I make these videos about Minecraft farms, there's always some naysayer in the comments saying you can't do this in survival Minecraft. Well, I'll tell you now, it is possible to build a farm like this in survival Minecraft, level an entire area all the way down to bedrock. It would just take an extraordinary amount of time. But the point is, the concept here is doable in survival, and if you've seen my Hermitcraft series, specifically episode 816, you'd know I'd have the amount of wither roses required here to actually make this farm. So what I'm going to show you in this video is possible. It might just take an extraordinary amount of time and effort. Now there are two factors that help define a good mob farm. One of them is its design, how it's been put together and what does it do. And the other one is the environment that it is inside of. For example, is the place where the spawning happens low down in the world? Are all the caves and surrounding areas lit up so that no other mobs are able to spawn anywhere else? So for this video I could spend a lot of time lighting up all the caves in an area, or I could spend a long time building a perimeter like this one here. But since we're just trying to demonstrate the farm in optimal conditions, I'm going to go with a flat world like this one, which means no mobs are going to spawn anywhere but inside of our farm. So with the environmental factor taken care of, we can focus on design, and a good mob farm will kill the mobs quickly before another one spawns to take its place. So the quicker you kill these mobs, the better you can say the mob farm is in, because you're going to produce more drops quickly. So the idea is to kill them as quick as they can spawn, and this is where I think I found a faster way than before to kill slimes. Now there are two common methods I've seen for farming slimes. One is to let them just wander into a direction that has a hazard, like water for drowning, magma blocks for killing the slimes, or you could even use cactus, which they will actually wander into and get damaged. And then there's the luring method, where you have a spawning platform and then you lure them over to the edge with an iron golem, and of course there's magma blocks awaiting for them. But then I learned in one of our recent episodes of myth busting that you can take a vindicator, rename it to Johnny, and one of the mobs that it will attack is of course the slime mob. And you can see it kills it pretty quickly. Now you might be thinking, Asuma, wrangling up a vindicator in survival mode is going to be very difficult, and I don't deny that, it just is possible. Otherwise we could just make some cheaty slime farm that use command blocks. What would be the point, right? If it's possible in survival, that's what's interesting to me. And here I can set up a village, although I've just realised this guy's going to try and escape straight away. There we go. Now if I were to bring the bad omen effect to this area, a raid would then start around me, and that might be a great way to wrangle up some vindicators near to the location of your slime farm, so it might not be as painful as you would first think. The next important attribute is that mobs will spawn based on proximity from the player, but not from other mobs, and this means that we could have a vindicator standing right next to where slimes are able to spawn. Now we are using the carpet mod, which means you can see the FPS, my coordinates and the server performance on your screen, and with this mod I can display where the slime chunks are in this world, which is why I've chosen this particular location. Now the seed for this world is 123, and if you were to head to these coordinates you would find a group of 4 of these slime chunks together. This is pretty rare, but I do want to use this because of course it means we can make a bigger farm. Now the lower down you are in a world, the faster mobs will be able to spawn if there are no blocks above it, which is the situation we're in right now. And of course if you're doing this in a regular world, this is as low as bedrock would spawn, so this is going to be the very base level of our farm. And of course the first thing we're actually going to put in here is an automatic collection system, but if I just fly up into the sky a little bit, we should see some slimes starting to spawn in these slime chunks. Excellent, that is a very good sign. And this is what happens when you work on your collection system for too long. We've got slime overload. Okay, all the powered rails are in place. This means we can have our spawning platform directly above, and then the minecart hoppers going back and forth on the rails will be able to pick up all of the items that land on this surface. This compact system will be able to unload the hopper minecarts. Of course the items are going to go into the hopper here. That depowers the rail, so the minecart hopper sits there unloading its items, and then they get dispensed down into this water stream and taken to a storage system, or in this case we're just going to chuck them into lava. Now of course we are ready for our spawning platform, which I'm going to create with this fancy command, and we should see some slimes start to spawn in. There we go. So of course now we're going to put our vindicators in here and rename them to Johnny so that they go after the slimes. And straight away we might see that there's going to be a little bit of a problem here. You see, Johnny isn't going after them because they're too far away. And if I put one close by, it's not exactly killing it quickly at the moment. And we're going to need a few of them in this area, right? So as you can see, the vindicators are getting clustered into little groups as they tend to go after the same slimes over and over again. And now we've got a group of them in the corner. And this isn't good because you can see some of the other slimes are living for way too long, like that one over there in the right hand side. So this means we're not killing the slimes quick enough. Although the vindicators are doing a pretty impressive job, we need to be able to kill them faster. Now before I start to brainstorm some ideas on how to make this a better system, we're going to bring in a command block so we don't have lots of minecarts going back and forth underneath. This one is just going to kill all of the items that are slime balls. So if we set this to always active, it means that the slimes are just going to disappear as soon as they drop. And now I'd like to interrupt this video just to say if you're enjoying it, then leave a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Look at this, giant slime summoned with a cheaty command. Anyway, let's get back to the video here. So what we're going to be doing is putting the vindicator inside of cages. When the slime spawns, it guarantees it's going to be nearby, and the vindicator won't be looking at slimes in the other cages. And yes, it struggles to kill the small ones sometimes. Don't worry, I've got a plan for that. But here's the thing, the bigger the cage is, the further away the vindicator might be from the slime itself. So it has to travel over there, which slows down the rate that they get killed at a little bit. Now the bigger cage also uses less glass overall, because the glass actually blocks spawnable spaces. So the smaller it is, we're also taking spaces away from where slimes can spawn. And if we go as small as this one over here, I doubt that the biggest type of slime would be able to spawn in here. So I'm going to use a mix of these two sizes right here to cover the whole of the area down below. And I'm not going to worry too much about crunching the numbers and figuring out the maximum efficiency. So 36 vindicators and 36 name tags, it's quite a hefty price. And you'll see there is a problem with this system, which is the amount of these small slimes, which is why I don't think this is going to be the final iteration. These cages are good, but the slimes are kind of tricky for the vindicators to kill, and so they end up being alive in these areas for quite a bit of time. But that is not a problem because I have a solution for this. Now these glass blocks are already blocking places where mobs could spawn, so if we were to remove the ones here, the vindicators would stay separated from one another, but the slimes would be able to move through into another area where another vindicator would kill them. But on the way over there, we can also apply damage to them using magma blocks. So in my mind, it makes sense to cut out this bottom row and replace these bits here with magma blocks. Let's now see this change in action. There you go, you saw it. Look, the little one went under the gap and it got killed by the slime block. There it is again and again. Yeah, that's a really helpful change, isn't it? I've just had a little bit of a brainwave. We could replace all the glass with trapdoors on the top half, and this would then mean that the medium-sized slime could go into the middle as well. Okay, here we go. We got a big one and it's been split up, and there you go. Those can now move under to the magma blocks, and the slimes are getting killed really quick now. Clearly it is now testing time, so I'm going to deploy all the minecarts to pick up the items, pick an AFK spot up in the air, and then we're going to do a test and average out the results to find out the rate of this farm. So I've used the average item data pack, which allows you to look at a point where items are flowing through, and the data pack will count the amount of items and average them over an hour. And as you can see, it's kind of disappointing. We only got 3,700 slime balls over the course of an hour. So when you're not sure what's going on with your mob farm, you call up a professional. I spoke to my buddy Nembom, and he explained that next to the trapdoors will be invalidated spaces for the slimes to spawning. Just by these being here, the hitbox of the slime will collide with this, and I think that applies to all three sizes, although I didn't ask. But also, the vindicator will invalidate the spaces in a 3x3 area around it. So you can see the problem here. If the vindicator is in the very middle of the platform, then it's going to block all the spaces, and if it wanders over to the corner, there's only going to be a few spaces available here in the middle. So the next move was obvious, right? Now we've got 9 Johnnies and 9 spawnable areas, and look at that, slime spawning everywhere. That's much better, although I did notice another flaw. Where you got these big walls over here, you don't have magma blocks for the slimes to wander on. That's something I could have actually built into the overall design. And there you go, another 5-minute test, and we have almost doubled the efficiency of this farm. So it's been an interesting experiment. I had a feeling though it wouldn't be faster than the one we built on Hermitcraft, utilising the power of the Wither Rose. Of course, a slime can spawn where the Wither Rose is, and it will immediately take damage, and pretty quickly it will get killed, and the minecarts can pick it up from down below. So as you can see, we've got a whole bunch of slimes here, and we're going to do a test with this setup as well, which I'm pretty sure is going to be the fastest one. Look at that, they're all taking damage straight away. Okay, time for us to conduct yet another test. And look at those results, 18,000 items per hour. That I would say is pretty impressive, and it's no surprise the Wither Rose is probably the fastest of all slime farms. Now, do you know of a slime farm that could be faster or have an idea for one? Then let me know with a comment down below. There is just one other thing I'm going to mention before this video is done. And that is the moon phase cycle and the local difficulty that goes up the longer you load an area. Both of these have an impact on the spawning of slimes. So if it were a different time of day or night and a different time of that cycle that we talked about, then there could be even more slimes spawning down there. So I did have a lot of fun designing this slime farm with the Vindicator. I hope you enjoyed it as well. If you did, leave a like. As always, thank you for the support on the channel. Turns out, though, the Wither Rose here is still the king, in my opinion. I can't think of a faster way to farm these slimes. But that's it from me this video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.